All right, we are back here on the podcast to get you ready for an NBA check-in for the midseason here. In terms of, a lot of going on here. There's a lot of storylines around the association. One local basketball team is very much in it. The other one is in the pile of teams saying, we don't give a fuck about this season. We're going to wait till next year. We're going to talk about all that here with the guys at Sorry to Interrupt podcast. First up, I just talked to him in the Super Bowl betting special a few weeks ago. Tom Bocchino is here. Tom, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, my friend? We look like pretty smart guys there, as you said at the beginning here before
Yeah,
we jumped on.
yeah. Ignore our advice about the MVP. Everything else we nailed.
Doesn't count. That's a prop bet. We got the real picks right. It's all that matters. I think I got the coin toss right as well. So that's all that matters.
Yep. Also with us here today is co-host over there, the great Sean Rose of the Sean. Welcome. How are you?
Mike, thanks for having us back, man. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you here. And feel like we have a lot of stuff to talk about with the NBA here. There's some interesting stuff happening here. I think got to start with the one New York team that's in contention, which is the Knicks here. And I talked about the opening of the pod here. I mean, after the NBA Cup win, things kind of went in the shitter for a little bit, and then slight improvement, rotation shaken up. Jose Alvarado added, Yabusele sent out. Tom, as the Nick guy over there, like, what do you think about what we're seeing like over the last like month and a half or so with this team?
Well, I mean, the curse of the NBA Cup goes on. It seems like every team goes through a bit of a rut after they win the NBA Cup. Such an illustrious championship to have. I'm so proud.
Hang that banner, baby.
But yeah, they made some rotational shakeups, and Yabusele, I was super excited at the beginning of the year for that signing, but it just didn't really seem like he was working in the rotation. Cat might have something to do with that, but I mean, the addition of Alvarado, just like the most New York guy, like it's just such a perfect fit. Like he should have been on the Knicks. It should have been automatic. He should have had to have been defaulted by the commissioner to the Knicks years ago, but he's finally here. And he can knock down a three as well with some injuries. We need that. Um, I like I like where the Knicks are at, but I do not love it. Just because, this was supposed to be the year of the Eastern Conference being wide open, and that is apparently not the case because Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duran definitely have something to say about that in Detroit.
Yeah, Sean, what do you think about the Knicks? What you seen?
I think they're really, really good right now. I would not have them as a team that could win a title. I definitely think they could break through in the East, but there's still a lot of people sleeping on this Pistons team, and I don't get it. I don't know what else they have to do to prove to the casual NBA fan that they are very much in the discussion and they should be the favorite in the East right now. Remember that first round series last year was a knockdown drag out against the Knicks. That was not easy at all. Brunson broke Thompson's ankles and vaulted them to that series win, but the Pistons gave them everything they could handle, and they've upgraded this year. They're better this year. I think the Knicks are really good. They have their weaknesses. I think Cat has definitely had a step back this year than he was last year. I do find it comical for the Knicks fans who are frustrated with Cat, where it's like, where have you been? Have you not followed the league at all over the last 10 years? Because he's a frustrating player, but God, is he good when he's on. It always scares me when your two best players are minuses on defense, but obviously they're a prolific scoring team, different style. But I echo Tom's sentiments, man. I love that Alvarado addition. McBride will be back in the playoffs, hopefully off that sports hernia injury. But obviously Deuce is a baller. He was great in the postseason last year. If you can add bench scoring with Deuce and Alvarado, plus the defense that Alvarado gives you in the playoffs. Who knows? Maybe Sohan can give you something too, if nothing else, some good depth in the regular season. But I think this Knicks team is really good. But if they were to go to the finals, I don't think they'd have a shot in hell. But they're obviously a very good team.
Yeah, I think the thing is with the Knicks is you look at like sort of like where they are, they're about where you expect to be, maybe a little worse record wise. And you look at the schedule that's left for them. I mean, they play Detroit on Thursdays, the last time they see them. They get the Celtics one more time. They get some of the West teams in here. But like this is really a sort of like weird spot with them where like the games matter, but they don't matter. Whereas like it all what really matters, I say at the top, is like what does this team look like, on April 5th? How are they playing? I think that's all that matters. I think it doesn't matter like right now, like whether, they're up for the two OKC games, they're up for, San Antonio. I don't think it really makes a difference for them at this point.
I, we're going to talk about this later in the sense where you said who's the biggest threat to OKC, but The really demoralizing part is the Knicks are not even the best team in the East, and I would probably say there's three teams, if not four, that are better than Detroit in the West. Sean,
Yeah.
that's that's tough given what we, the bill of goods we were fed early on as Knicks fans and what we thought where, we were gonna and the Eastern Conference was gonna be us versus Detroit and it was gonna be a lot closer. And and then it was going to be, a crapshoot in the West of everybody and then OKC, and it did not turn out that way. But I do think it makes a Giannis trade a little bit more palatable.
Yeah, I said at the top, I think the Giannis thing, like, if they are not in the NBA Finals, Knicks will be going balls to the walls for Giannis this summer.
I still want to know how you get him.
I think the way you get him is he basically said, I'm only going here, make it work.
They're not. I mean, I don't think he's going to do that, and B is like the Bucks are not going to just acquiesce to that. I know we didn't do any pre-trade deadline stuff, but like the Heat could offer a better package. A lot of teams could offer a better package there. He might want to go. The Knicks would have to get super creative and add a third or fourth team to be to be the conduit to a trade.
To be fair to the Knicks, they can get super creative. I mean, somehow they managed to get Yabusele off their roster when he had a second year option, got him to waive it.
You have a great GM. You definitely know what you're doing there from a basketball, head of basketball ops perspective, but it's a much different trade to go get a guy who just refuses to say, I demand out. So,
Yeah, not to mention there's going to be a lot more buyers. Yabusele, you're kind of, you
yeah.
got,
Yabusele, by the way, sneaky. He saved you guys because that trade that you made to the Pelicans, he waived a couple extra $100,000, which freed up the space for you to go get Sohan. So give him a nice parting New York tip of the cap on the way out.
nice
Yeah,
guy.
nice guy. It also worked for him, too. He's like, yeah, I could just stay buried on the bench for 2 years. He actually wanted to play. So now he's going to play in Chicago
Yeah.
because he's the only guy on that team above like 6'5" at this point.
Ah, the Bulls.
Yeah, one of the craziest deadlines I've ever seen for Chicago where they literally decided to just play college ball, but we'll get there. Yeah. Let's go to Sean's team here in Brooklyn. And obviously, they had an interesting season so far. They, for a little bit where they were trying too hard to win, and then they said, you know what, screw that. We have to actually, go tank with this draft class. They moved on from Cam Thomas. He's no longer there. They sent Igor Demon to the Rising Stars game, which is fantastic. I do think they have some fun stuff going on there. Michael Porter's been fun, but Sean, like, what actually matters from this season with Brooklyn?
Lose as much as you possibly can and develop the young guys. I mean, Joman's been awesome, man. I mean, that not the criticism of him not being able to shoot. I don't know where that came from. He's only behind Con Knipple in terms of 3 points made, and he actually is above Knipple in 3 point efficiency. He's also hit some big shots late, big games, given the fact that the Nets are trying to lose most of the games. But Nolan Traore, who is he was considered a lottery pick at this time last year. Struggled down the stretch in the French league last year, but man, he is super quick and he is an elite playmaker. I always looked at these 5 first rounders where it's like if two of them hit to just be like good rotational pieces, maybe starters, that's a really good thing. The rest are kind of lottery tickets. But the speaking of trying to get to the lottery, Mike, the best thing that you can do is play a lot of rookies, and that's what the Nets do, and a lot of two-way guys. And yeah, they fight their asses off, but they're not good, and they can't be good. So yes, that we knew what direction they were going to go as soon as they made the Bridges trade and the subsequent trade with the Rockets to get control of their first rounders in 25 and 26 back. They're a terrible team. They're designed to be a terrible team, but some of the development guys that you hope will be part of your future look pretty good, and that's all you can hope for.
Ty, anything you want to add on the Brooklyn situation?
A plus on the breakdown there. Honestly, I
Thanks.
have nothing really to add. It's just tough when you're in that position where from the tip of the season that it's time to tank. But that's where the Nets are, and they're doing a solid job of it while still developing. Like Sean said, you make that many draft picks. Did I agree with the draft picks? No, But at the end of the day, in that position in the draft, it was a crapshoot, and some of them are working out. So
And you also
I
went super high upside with those picks because you knew you weren't trying to win this year. So it's like, hey, would rather get the high ceiling guys who could develop. Joman's 18, Traore's 19, then go get the 23-year-old who might be okay. By the way, I didn't mention Drake Powell, who's super athletic out of North Carolina. So it's like these guys are not supposed to walk into the league and start contributing to wins, but you hope these are guys that like 3, 4 years down the road, it's like, holy crap, one or two of these guys popped. And if you're trying to lose this year, you did a great job with targeting who you did in the draft.
Yeah, are you
he's
surprised? Are you surprised that, for example, they did not cash out Michael Porter Jr. at the deadline?
Tom, you want to take it?
I just think that he's a young player that he's under contract, right?
Yeah, next year. He has one
Exactly.
more
So
year.
you can move on from that into the summer.
Or you make
If
him a foundational piece, which
you
I think
could
they
do
want
that,
to do.
absolutely. You could make him a foundational piece. He's probably not going to be a max guy, regardless of how much he goes off, because, we've seen it with other players with the Nets where it's proven that it's if you're on a shit team, you're going to put up higher numbers. Look at Miles Bridges, but you could probably get him on a cheap deal, or if Detroit stumbles and fingers crossed loses to the Knicks in the playoffs, maybe they'll be looking for a more skilled player, and they definitely have the guys to move around, and there's going to be a few others in the summer. So it wasn't a situation where it was trade him now or lose him. So I was just a little more disappointed. And again, I know this happens in the NBA all the time, but like I felt like they could have got a second round pick for Cam Thomas somewhere.
Well, you know what the hard part with that was because he signed the qualifying offer, he was on a 1 year deal with a
Mm.
no trade. So I think they probably canvassed the league to try to at least get a second out of him. And the only teams he wanted to go to, they're like, well, we'll just get him in the buyout market. And he probably vetoed certain trades that the Nets had lined up. So
Mm.
you probably would have liked to get something for him, but it didn't work out that way. But for Porter, I'm a believer in this. It's not bad to have good players. And I believe I called it back in the summer when that trade was getting shit on by everybody that I love that trade for the Nets in addition to that unprotected 2032 pick. Porter can fill it up when he's healthy, man. And you have him for next year. You can maybe sign him to an extension if you want. Don't just give him away for no reason. Also, too, is this is going to be a quick pivot. The Nets don't have control of their assets after the draft this year. So, with adding hopefully a very high lottery pick, in addition to having the most cap space in the league, with all of these assets going forward that they could use in potential trades, they are not going to try to tank next year. They are going to try to contend at least in the play-in playoff spot in the East. So, they
If they get
are,
a high draft pick or
yeah.
a few, are they a Giannis contender?
Well, that's always the speculation, right? Then it just depends. Does Giannis want that? But they will be absolutely in the conversation for any superstar going forward because they have as many assets as anybody and they have as much cap flexibility. It just depends on, hey, is a Giannis? Do they want to go down that road again, where now you're on a Giannis timeline as opposed to maybe make some other good moves and build like a team like Detroit and build like a team like OKC and San Antonio? But
That's
we'll find out.
That's my last point with the Knicks too. When it comes from a Giannis perspective, you see how quickly the league moves. You see how fast teams go up and down. Do we really want to? Again, I'm just saying devil's advocate here. Do we really want to go down that road again, where we strip every single asset for a guy that is over 30? The history's behind all that, and we're going to be a diminished team. Are we even a contender, or are we setting ourselves back when we just began building?
And you get Indiana back and Boston back and Detroit.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
that's the other scary thing is Boston's going to be better next year because Tatum's going to be better, and most of those guys are under contract. And then, I mean, what Indiana did in the trade deadline was unbelievable
So
because
smart.
just that was bullshit because we know what they're going to be next year when Halliburton comes back, and now they have the big man in the middle.
Yep. And also interesting spot with those trades also with the Knicks because you even mentioned like as much as you want to say about Embiid and Paul George, Philly has a good backcourt combination of the Maxey and Edgecombe.
Well, that's what's great about them too.
Embiid
Like,
is Embiid is gravy right now. This dude is house money. You can't write a guy off more than they wrote Embiid off, and the fact now that he's this like Dirk-like figure, he's basically Dirk now because he doesn't have the defensive abilities. Just coming off the bench or coming in spurts is just unbelievable.
plays 25 minutes a night, 30 minutes a night, then sits
What
the
did
next
George get
two,
suspended for?
some kind of PED.
Yeah, PEDs. That's why they're able to like
Hey, the guy's trying. He's fucking trying, all
The
right?
fourth
He's trying to get
playoff
healthy.
P.
Yeah, Philly loved that though because they were able to like write off his salary, basically get under the luxury tax because of
Good for
that.
them,
Yeah, and
man.
you know what? You want to talk? I know we're gonna
Maybe they
segue in.
maybe they paid him under the table to get popped.
Yeah, listen, we'll
Put
get you
on
back for the
Pablo Torre
playoffs,
finds
but
out on that.
yeah, there you go. But yeah, I mean, they're on the Maxey and Edgecombe timeline now, which was weird why they traded McCain for that extra cap flexibility. It's like
Who they trade him to?
OKC, of course. And
God
look what
damn
he's
it.
done since he's been there. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing too, is like that backcourt and that youth, man. Plus, they've got the finances, and now Embiid is just turned into this. I like that Dirk comp, like supercharged Dirk at this point. Like anything you get out of him and Paul George is just great. But they have identified their timeline is now with Edgecombe and
No
Maxey.
disrespect to Dirk, obviously. Like a top 30 player of all time. I just meant like 20-minute spurts. He can just have like the best touch on the floor somehow out of a 7 footer. But that McCain trade, like, I feel like that wasn't covered enough. I feel like it was a bit of a sleeper. You mean to tell me in 2 years when they let Dort and Caruso go because they don't want to pay him anymore, McCain's not just going to step into that role and be probably a 25 to 30 minute a night guy and just be a perfect piece to that puzzle?
He already is now. It's crazy.
Exactly. And he's just
Exactly.
going to play more minutes with that other guy. What's his name? Mitchell?
Yeah, Adrian Mitchell, and they traded Usman Jang too, so they freed up the minutes for McCain.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk back to the dev out here. We're coming off of All-Star week. I think we got to talk a little about here. So, obviously, we got this new format, USA versus the world. I will say here, I watched some of this here. Thank you, Wemby, for caring, because I think this really brought the effort level of everybody up here. You could tell how pissed he was getting when the world team lost that first game, and like the effort level was there, which I think is something you were hoping for in the All-Star game. We'll see if this lasts more of the year. 'Cause remember back when the Elam ending was a thing, I was so excited about that. But if I think the thing that saves us here is like if Wemby cares about the All-Star game, he becomes the best player in the league. Everybody follows the example.
I just, that's all we really can ask for is that a few guys care at this point and that they just pick a format that works and stick to it. That's really all I can ask from Sunday night. Saturday's completely gone. Um, I mean, like I think if we're gonna continue to do these contests, like let's make the 3-point shootout nuts. Let's put Sabrina and Caitlin and whoever else you want to put in it. Let's make it like the 3-point line like 20 feet back. Or I got a better idea. I think we should do like instead of this NBA Cup thing, all the guys on rookie contracts. So what is that? Their first 3 years of their career, right?
First 4 years, yep.
First, so you have to be on a rookie contract. We make an all-star team there. You get a sponsor and you put up like big money for them. Where they're young guys, they haven't made real NBA money yet. You put up like a $50 million prize or whatever the number is that a sponsor could do, and these guys would actually ball out. And these would be some young lottery picks. It would be like the ultimate like Jordan Brand Classic or whatever, that all-star game when they play when they're seniors in high school. It would be so much fun compared to this, they bring out the old guys at the beginning and you're worried somebody's going to break a hip and then they
You didn't
do all
want to see
these.
Jackson Hayes?
I mean, then yeah, and the dunk contest, it's like every cool dunk has been done already. It's over.
Yep.
Vince Carter, it's over.
Let's put Saturday to the side for a second. Let's stick with Sunday first. So, Sean, what do you think about the actual game here with the U.S. versus the world thing?
Wemby cared, Ant cared. I also think it's kind of funny where it's like they have to care the whole game. I mean, even in the, nostalgic old All-Star games, they didn't care the whole time. It was really the fourth quarter that they cared, and gave us some great moments. I live on this, Mike, and it's probably like not the most like appealing for your audience to hear, but I just don't really care. If the NBA really wants to do this and they want to completely, reinvent the wheel every couple years and have this thing, have at it. I didn't watch a second of it, so congrats to you for it. I at least did some research on it because I knew we were coming on the pod, but I just don't care. I mean, if I have to hear that these players have to be incentivized to care, I need incentive to care. And there's other things going on. I was watching Pebble Beach yesterday. Like,
Hell
I,
yeah.
I just, it doesn't matter to me. And I think the All-Star games, they just need to go away. Like, baseball is still competitive, but like, let's just be honest. The All-Star game was invented because forever you couldn't watch all these great players. It was, unless they came to your city or they were on a national televised game. But now with the NBC/Peacock package, the Amazon package, the ESPN ABC package, League Pass, you can watch any player you want, any game you want. The All-Star game doesn't serve that anymore. So why are these players who truly don't want to be there going out there and risking possible injury? A lot of teams who are tanking or trying to be national or trying to be, NBA champion contender teams, like, please do not go out there and bust your ass. And I love Wemby for what he's doing, but I'd like to see him in another 5, 6 years, maybe after a title or two, decide, like, is he going to still play with that same level of intensity? I don't know. I know it's not the most like, wow, that was provocative, but I just don't, I just don't really care.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's hard to argue with that. I mean, they basically like over the years have like made it so like you said, like if they don't care, why should I care? And
Yeah.
we'll see if it sticks. Because remember, like when the Elam ending debut, it was like this is great. We have this fantastic ending now. Now the fourth quarter will actually matter, and then they stopped trying after that.
Hey, if the NBA is happy with it and the Players Association is happy with it and the fans that desperately want to watch it are happy with it, then props to you.
All right. We need to go for the rest of the weekend here. I think obviously the start times didn't help because they played these games at 5 o'clock, like Eastern, 2 o'clock in the Pacific times when the game's actually being held because NBC wanted to do their Olympic coverage in prime time here. Like Saturday, particularly, that was rough because I mean they had the very stupid decision to put the 3-point contest, the only thing that actually matters at this point, first. You had the shooting star contest, which was, I think, mothballed for a reason. They brought it back, and it was rough watching that. And then you have this dunk contest where, again, nobody cares, and nobody who actually was of interest to the casual audience is doing it. Like, and the building's half empty. Like, All Star Saturday's broken.
Yeah, I literally turned it on as the dunk contest went on. They were introducing the judges, and Dr. J looked like he wanted to kill himself. And I changed the channel. I immediately changed the channel when that happened, and I watched none of it. And that was my analysis. If Dr. J wants to kill himself at a dunk contest, the thing he basically invented, well, he did invent the dunk contest, but he basically invented the dunk too. Um, if he looks like he wants to kill himself, I don't know if they dropped the bag on him or he just felt like he had to go, but I'm good. That's my expert analysis for you.
I'm not going to disagree with any of it. I'm not. I mean, again, like what I want to know is who actually is outraged by this. Like, I think the NBA is in a tough spot because, they have to
We're
share
very
their
close to Pro Bowl right now. Very
we're
close.
very close. And honestly, I give the NFL credit for being like, we're just gonna have some Pro Bowl games. We're gonna fucking play flag football.
Yeah, but the difference is that the NFL has the Super Bowl and the NBA needs this to be their Super Bowl because they don't have a weekend like this. And
They
that's
don't
why
have a
they
weekend like
force
this.
it down our throats. Unfortunately, they over commercialized it and ruined it, but
Yeah,
there's no going back.
and the players not, once
Yeah.
you had your like real stars say that they are not doing the dunk contest, it all went to hell. And Tom, you hit a great point earlier. All the great dunks have been done. Like I can't think of a single time where I'm going to be like, wow, that was awesome. But also too is like I just want to know who has a really strong opinion on this. After the NFL season, the NBA comes into limelight and it comes at the worst time of their season because it's the All-Star weekend, which every casual is going to shit on. And then it's also all you got all these teams tanking. So it's like, let's talk about all the things that the NBA sucks at now that they're on center stage right now. What I would say to people is like, you don't need to have an opinion. It's okay if you don't like it. The NBA clearly doesn't care and they're going to kind of try to continue to do this thing. But like, I'm not upset in any way, shape, or form. If it's bad, good, if they do away with it, like, I'm not going to lose any sleep. It just doesn't matter. Like, I don't know why they're so hell bent on it. I understand it's supposed to be nostalgic and it's supposed to be their weekend, but like, it clearly isn't. And I think if you told the majority of the players that they were doing away with it and they would just have some kind of award ceremony and play horse or something, they'd be more inclined to do that.
Or it's just a weekend off.
Right.
Yeah, well, I'll also add a couple things. I mean, I think there's like obvious like errors that the NBA is making with this, which is number one, the point, like the fact that like we're giving all the ticket space to corporate sponsors who like are basically giving it to guys who have no interest in going to the game or guys and gals, whereas like Like when you're in this thing and say you're in the 3-point contest, look up when the building's half empty when it starts. That's a
Do real
mistake.
fans want to go though? Like
No,
that's
and
my
that's
question
Like,
too.
but that's what this thing has.
I read plenty of people who were like online saying, like I live here, I want to go. The secondary market's like $900 for like this thing. It's way too much. Like I would love to go, but they gotta make it accessible to me, and like they're not.
I mean, we talk about this every year. I feel like I came on your pod last year. The All-Star game got ruined when guys like, and look, I blamed them, and people shit on me on TikTok. I don't remember if it was on our pod or yours, where, look, when LeBron didn't do the dunk contest and set the precedent that the best player didn't have to do anything and not care, it was downhill from there. And now we're at the point where, like you said, Mike, it's completely over corporatized. And none of the people that we care about, the true celebrity players, the superstars of the All Stars, give a shit. So
There's
that's a
one
tough thing to sell.
there's one exception. The 3-point contest, the big guys still care about, and they still do it.
Yeah. And that's the thing is
And
they put it at
why
they
is this
put it at
first?
2 o'clock. I 1,000% agree because when I turned on the dunk contest, another reason why I turned it off, aside from Dr. J wanting to kill himself, was I found out the 3-point contest had already happened, and that was the only reason, the only thing I was watching for. I was going to catch the dunk contest just to watch the 3-point shootout, and that happened at fucking 5 o'clock. Like, come on, it's not even dark out.
It was 5:30. They basically were teeing it or tipping it off here. I'm like,
When I
this,
was a kid, I remember like waiting all year for the All-Star game, back when it was cool, back when, back in the early 2000s, like 2006, when it was like all the hot chicks were going down to the All-Star game to scoop themselves up a baller and et cetera, and all the parties were cool and shit. And now it's just like, I don't know, half the Epstein files is probably hanging out there partying, and it's just like disgusting. It's very plastic and it's very overdone, and it's done. It's cooked.
yeah, I think is you got to put the 3-point contest last year and gonna keep doing this weekend. I think it has.
I
If you're gonna, and they're not gonna stop it because NBC's the contract to broadcast this thing every year. It's gonna be in prime time next year.
I think we just take the 3-point shootout on the road at this point. We just make it its own entity.
Can we get
Separate it, sell it.
can we get like the Steph versus like Caitlin Clark shootout happening again? That was, I think, actually more interesting than half the things they usually do.
Yeah, that was great. I don't know why it went away. I thought
Because
that
they
that
don't
was good.
care. They don't care.
Well, this
We
year
care more.
I think this year is also issues the WNBA because they just don't have a CBA right now. It's why I think
Right.
you had that shooting stars conference. You usually have like WNBA players in it. They didn't have any this year. It was all like like current guys and like old Ron Harper doing shooting in it. Like I think like if you could get like some of the
Sounds like
WNBA
you
players,
watched quite a bit of this. You might have been the only audience guy there.
I had to do my research.
Well, it's good for you, man. I mean, we're just coming on here and winging it.
Yeah. So I just think like you need to put the 3-point contest last, and you need to like if you're gonna do the damn dunk contest, you need to like up the money and incentivize some of like the big guys to do it. I think your first call needs to be go to Wemby and say, Wemby, you love the All-Star games. How much like do the dunk contest next year?
What is
No,
Wemby gonna do? He just stand there and do
Yeah, I was
this.
gonna say if Wemby's gonna do the dunk contest, then we're going fucking centers only, and we're raising the hoop up to like 12 feet,
Where's
12 and a half
Boban?
feet.
Yeah, like what again? Why not? Like what do you have to lose at this point?
Yeah, dude,
You think the
at
Spurs
this
are gonna
point,
be happy about that? No. Like that's the other thing. Like no, these teams are these are multi-million,
and that's what's so
tens of
incredible.
millions of dollars of asset.
That's what's so incredible to me about hockey is the fact that in the middle of the season, I mean, the NBA, these guys are squeezing their balls as hard as they can when they send the guys over in the summer. This is the middle of the freaking season. They take a break to go play in the Olympics or to do what they did last year when they actually played a real like tournament or
Yeah.
whatever when
Yeah.
they had I forgot what the name of
The
it
Four
was.
Nations.
Yeah, but like, could you imagine for 1 second if the Olympics were going on now and the NBA had a 2 week hiatus?
Yeah.
The owners would have a heart attack.
Yeah, for sure. Like that's something that was collectively bargained by the NHL because the players really want to go to the Olympics.
Also, hockey players are different. They just want to play freaking hockey, man. Like they want to represent their country if they can. They play their asses off. There's no tanking in the NHL. Honestly, if there's somebody who's like a fair weather fan and is like trying to get into a sport, it's by far the sport I'm interested in the least. But I'm like, Go watch hockey. If you want to watch guys that really truly care about just playing the sport and that being it, go watch the NHL. Like that's all they care about.
Yeah, I would say that, and I'll also throw out here, like as the college basketball guy, like there are teams you have to find because like some of the random games are rough, but like if you find good teams and good rivalries, they will play hard every night in college
College
basketball.
basketball is having a great year this year too,
Yes.
and it's about to take center stage as well, particularly for people that don't like the NBA right now.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go to we'll kind of do the deadline first and then tank because these kind of go hand in hand here. Like a lot of deadline moves. I think the contender move I want to discuss here is the Cavaliers side kind of just dumping Garland on the Clippers for James Harden, and Harden just like hit his 2.5 year like expiration window with the Clippers, and now he's on over here. So what do you think about that move?
I love it. It's a truly a win-win. The Clippers being able to get that asset, and then Harden, like I'm all in on it. I don't know why, but I'm just like if the Cavs can go on the Cinderella run and he can get a title out of this, like I don't know why I hate him. I hate the style that he plays. Obviously, I hate all the bullshit that he pulls. But I'm rooting for James Harden. I don't know why, but it would be crazy to see him win a title. And also, he's not a pedo like Karl Malone, so I want him to get a title. I want Karl Malone to have that title, that belt to himself as like the best player to never win a
That's
title. Oh,
that is
Barkley,
I
aside,
know.
but
Okay,
Barkley's
they
up
leave
here.
Barkley. Barkley's at the
Barkley's
top.
won. Barkley's TV career counts as like 5 rings, so he's different.
And James Harden makes the playoffs every single year. Like they're like no matter what team he's on, he's always in the playoffs.
I love this trade for both sides too, Tom. Like I could not agree with you more. Like Harden is such a better fit. Like I cannot wait for that pick and
We're
roll
also going to
game with
get playoff
Mobley.
Harden. We could get another meltdown out of this because he's definitely going to be playing in a meaningful series.
But he takes them so much further than Garland did. Like Garland
Oh,
and Mitchell just weren't the greatest fit. And also Garland kind of had this series of unfortunate events with injuries. Like he got his jaw wired shut from taking a shot a couple of years ago. He's had these feet injuries, but like he's 26, he's super dynamic. I love the Clippers just like within the span of days being like Harden wants his new contract. We're not going to pay it. Let's pivot and bring in a younger asset, a guy like the fact that we can give James Harden away, we're not even going to pay, and bring in Darius Garland, outstanding for them. But Harden with Mobley and that pick and roll game, and Jared Allen too, and then you've got the backcourt of Harden with Mitchell. Keep in mind too, Mike, that the Cavaliers are really trying to entice Mitchell to stay. They do not want him turning down that max offer. And say whatever you want about Harden in the playoffs, and we will get a meltdown or two. But man, he makes them so much better right now. And this is a team that won 62 games last year, really fizzled out. He's such a better fit. And I think that they look at this East too. It's like the Pistons, that's a tough team, but we can beat them. The Knicks, that's a tough team, but we can beat them. And they've had no success against the Knicks with Garland and Mitchell. So I think swinging for the fence here, you're getting Harden, who wants that 2 year, $80 million deal. Like, you can't have more of a win-win, right, Tom?
no, no doubt about it. And then from a playoff perspective, outside of that like 10 seconds with the Nets, I can't remember a situation since OKC that Harden's been in where it comes down to nut crunching time and there's a dude on that team that you actually want to have the ball more than him.
Great point.
Yeah.
And that's Mitchell. And we've seen him in Utah and in Cleveland drag teams in the playoffs and hit big shots in big moments. It seems to be just he can't get teams over the hump, and maybe the combination of him and Harden can get that done.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. I think the only other trade that I felt like it was a playoff contender really adding was not a bench piece was Porzingis to the Warriors, which again they're kind of in a weird spot because they lose Butler for the season. They're flirting with the Giannis trade, and he says I'm not going yet, so they kind of have to pivot some way, and they get Porzingis basically for a bunch of spare parts just to clear the Hawks cap sheet a little bit.
I didn't really understand it. I mean, Porzingis, like I get why you make the move, like you want to get something, but like Porzingis doesn't play. He's had this weird illness for a long time, and he misses an extended period of time. I don't know. I felt like the Warriors were just like, we got to do something, so let's bring him in. They were also over Jonathan Kuminga, so this was
Hmm.
more, in my opinion, about exporting Kuminga and bringing in somebody where it's like, hey, if we can get anything out of him, maybe he can help us, but. Porzingis, I'm glad you brought that up, Mike, because I honestly forgot about that trade. Because dude just doesn't play, and it sucks. But like he doesn't play.
Yeah, it's kind of
Yeah.
it's in that weird spot where they're like, we have great staff. We don't want to longer have great staff. We have to try every year, so we need to do something.
That and I think Kaminga played a massive part in that because it was going, 2, 3 weeks before the deadline, even a little bit before that. It was going really south, real
Two,
fast.
three
Kirk.
years.
Well, that, yeah, but then you had the resurgence. It was just this game of a hamster wheel that they were playing from with him, and they were end up in the same spot. And I think Kerr was just like about to quit, like he was going to go do an announce for NBC or something if they didn't get rid of him. So, and Porzingis, like again, he never ever plays. That would be so amazing with him and Steph, that pick and roll, and whatnot. But I mean, maybe they'll get something out of him, and Sean will have to eat his words because I didn't say anything bad about him.
Hey, I love Porzingis. Dude, it's just we haven't seen him play in a long time. Mike, the big trade that I want to just bring up real fast is the Zubac trade.
Yeah.
I thought that was a monster deal for Indiana, who is going to immediately be the favorites in the East next year because you're getting Halliburton. The trade was also interesting because it was a top four protected and a 10 through 30 protected. So unless that pick falls through 5 through 9, they get that pick. So you could be adding a top tier lottery pick. You could also be adding Halliburton back, all of their other guys this year. Like you can't have a better bad season than this Pacers team has had. And now you bring in Zubac. You didn't have to pay Miles Turner. And you get them where it's like, yeah, like maybe you get screwed, but I think they look at this draft and we're like, hey, if we're not getting one of the top four players, the rest are all equal to us. And we get Zubac going into next year to deal with the physicality of the front line of obviously a Detroit and a Cleveland. Like that was such a home run hire. And again, good job by the Clippers for immediately pivoting and going into a next era.
Yeah, I was in the bucket I was talking about next, which is sort of like I'm calling these the stash trades, where like the
Yeah.
teams just trading for these stars and just like mothballing them to next year, well they can keep tanking. Basically, you had the Wizards did as a Trey Young for nothing and Anthony Davis for essentially nothing. You had Jaren Jackson Jr. go to the Jazz, play a couple of games, then he had a knee thing pop up. Now he's done for the year, and you had that Zubaz trade. Like this is very interesting, where a lot of these teams sort of like, okay, we can get the guy for next year, but we're still going to tank.
Yeah, I think the Jazz are taking it to another level and leave it to Danny Ainge to where it's like, all right, we might have to fucking think about changing a rule for this guy. He just reminds me of myself in the fantasy baseball league, Mike. Just getting rules changed because of me, but I
Nefarious.
I just like that Utah one is crazy.
Yeah. I just
Um,
think those two Wizards trades is crazy because like you get both those guys in here and then they're still not going to play really either of them because they don't want to give that pick to the Knicks and because they want it's protected 1 through 8.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the Wizards could be a playoff team next year if everybody stays healthy.
Yeah, it's wild because like you're basically these trades, you're making these moves saying, hey, like 2026, we're going to rock and roll. But the rest of this year, who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at it this way. Did you want to do the tanking conversation now, Mike, or did you want to?
We'll finish this first, but
Okay. Yeah. For me, I thought both trades were, or all three rather. It's like you look at that front line for Utah going forward of Triple J, Markkanen, and Walker Kessler. Like that's insane. And then you've obviously got Ace Bailey, Keontae George. Like that
Who's
already.
exploded this year, yeah.
Yeah. And Washington with Keyshawn George, and obviously Alex Sarr, and also
Bub,
their rookie pick. Was that?
I said Bub Carrington too.
Bub Carrington, and also their lottery pick out of Texas this year too. The fifth overall pick, who's a bomber 3-point shooter. So I look at this. I like these teams are just the word I would use was positioning. They're positioning themselves to make quick pivots and be immediate contenders next year, at least playoff contenders.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I don't mind any of them either. I like these moves. They didn't give up much.
no, they didn't here, and I think it's time for the tanking conversation here. This is a big topic over the weekend at the All Star game. Ad Silver's like clearly like at wits end with these teams, and yes, this is a historically strong draft class where you might have like 6 or 7 like franchise caliber talents. Obviously, at the big three at the top with Peterson, DeBansa, and Cam Boozer. You got like Keaton Wagler at Illinois, who's really good. You got the guy from UNC, Caleb Wilson. You got a lot of guys in there who can be potential impact players. And we're at a point now where we're in March and about like a third of the league is actively not trying to win basketball games, whether, it's the Bulls trading for 75 guards, whether it's, the Nets, not like doing this. You got the Jazz, sitting guys in fourth quarter when they're up to try and lose the game. You
Hey,
have,
we're ethical tankers. We're just terrible. That's all that matters. We're not doing anything else.
Fair.
We're just terrible.
yeah, you have the Mavs like, doing what they're doing. You have like the Pelicans who are just bad and over the pick to Atlanta and just can't get out of their own way.
They
Like,
were not trying to be here.
and they're here anyway. But like, we have to do something here because this is a problem for the casual fan where like you're trying to say the regular season matters and a third year league is like, okay, on to next year when you still got about 35 games left.
Tom, you take it first.
Yeah, I mean the regular season, it's hard to justify that it does matter at all. I mean, Silver just seems to be at this point asleep at the wheel. I'm not, we could talk about the All-Star game. That shit doesn't matter in reality, but the decisions he's made and then with the new CBA, I mean, the players got railroaded in that one, but aside from making like drastic changes, I don't really know what they're going to do because it doesn't really seem like the NBA is willing to do anything. They need to put a stipulation in there of something, whether it be you're not allowed to make, Simmons on his podcast was saying like you can't make a pick in the top four 2 years in a row. I don't know what it is, but something needs to be put in place in order to stop these teams from doing it because if not, why would you?
Yeah, it's strategic. Like if you're playing within the rules, you should do it. I thought the fines were ridiculous. You're fining billion-dollar owners $100,000, 50K over tanking. Like if I'm the owner of the Jazz, Ryan Smith, I'm just like, find me $100,000 for the rest of the 27 games because we're going to continue to do this. I really think it comes down to a couple things. One, if you want to do like I've heard this floated out there, right? Where it's like, oh, cut off the lottery odds by March 1st. Well, then teams are just going to start tanking even more egregiously out of the gate in October and November. So that doesn't work. Secondly, Zach Lowe talked about this on his podcast that he wrote about this idea for Grantland back in 2013, and it was an idea hatched by a former Celtics executive called the Wheel.
I've heard
And
about that.
essentially, yeah, where you would spin it, and every team would have a different pick for 30 years. So like in 2027, you're drafting third. In 2029, regardless of your record, you're drafting 17th. So on and so forth, where for 30 years, every team would occupy one spot going forward. So you would know where your future is. The only problem with that is you would have to resign yourself to the fact that you might get one of these comet in the sky years where the Oklahoma City Thunder have the first pick in the draft, or the 2017 Warriors get the first or second pick in a draft like this. So if owners are okay with that, then okay, you could maybe do something like that. I think, and what's being floated out there right now, which makes the most sense to you guys, I want to get your thoughts too, but it's the provisions of taking away protections on picks. If you just do that, you're going to get rid of all of this crazy posturing. Like, if that pick that the Wizards have wasn't top 8 protected and the Knicks wouldn't get it, you wouldn't be seeing the Wizards do this right now. The first pick would just be gone or they'd have it, right? So it's like, I think if you get away from protections of picks, teams are not going to be posturing and falling over themselves trying to get better positioning and lose a bunch of games. And I actually like that. I think there's a future in that. You've also heard the extremes of like, let's just get rid of the draft altogether and make them free agents. I think that's going to be really tough for certain markets to entice these players to want to go there. So I think that's the last resort. But clearly Silver's pissed about this. He usually is pretty calm and measured, but he was about as frustrated about this as he's been in the past because it's a crisis moment. It absolutely is. As a fan of a team that's tanking, you're screwing your fan base, you're screwing the season ticket holders. Throwing away a season for that word hope is really tough. If you don't get a top 3 pick, it's like, all right, now in this draft, it's nice. But like in other years, like, fuck, man, we just lost 70 games, 68 games to draft 7th in the draft. And I know they've changed things with like the Mavericks getting the first pick last year, but like it's still not enough. Teams are we've never seen it like this. We usually see it in March and April. We're seeing teams doing this in January and February, and to say it's not a crisis point would be disingenuous.
Yeah, I think my issue here is very much like obviously like I heard the idea about abolish the draft and this and that. But the problem is the lottery, the way it's set up, is not doing what it's supposed to do in terms of getting, the teams that need the good young players, the good young players. We're sitting in a draft like where last year, San Antonio and Dallas, who are, not far from the playoffs, are getting, getting Cooper Flag and Stephon Castle and these stars in the building, and they're adding these great players. Whereas like teams like Utah is bad for 3 years in a row, and they're picking like 5, 7, 8. Like that's not helping anybody because like you're not giving them a way to get this talent that they need because they're not a free agent destination. I don't know what the answer is.
Well,
When
you also have some of these teams that have no idea how to absolutely develop these players either. Like if you're still drafting seventh or eighth, that's a good player. But you see the Wizards drafting at the top of the draft every year because they have no idea how to develop players. They traded Denny Advia for nothing, and he's turned into a star in Portland. Like I don't know. Like that's another problem too. And they try to incentivize all of this by the play-in, right, in the playoffs. But the NBA is so top heavy where it's like if you're one of those mediocre teams like the Bulls who are constantly 42 and 40 or 40 and 42 and in the play-in, like that doesn't help you either. You have to either be one of the very few teams that can contend for a championship or a team that is so bad that you actually have a chance at the first overall pick. Because these mediocre teams, Mike, even though the NBA wanted to incentivize making the play-in, what benefit is it to make the play-in? Like now you're not positioned for a great pick, and you're not going to make the playoffs and actually go do anything. So I think that you could actually maybe add more ping pong balls to the play-in teams to incentivize them for actually making the playoffs, as opposed to having them have less of a chance to win the lottery. That's another thing you could do.
I think honestly,
Or you add to the playing game.
I think the easiest thing to do is just like go back to the 85 rules, just flatten it. Like everybody's the exact same chance to miss the playoffs to get the top pick.
That didn't work though, right?
Yeah, because these teams will still tank and just say, well, our chances are better than that. We're not going to win the title.
Yeah, but like at the same time here, like, are you getting marginally better with the ping pong ball? I think you're on something with the protection of the draft picks. I think we saw the Mavs
That's a massive factor in it.
because we
I
saw the
don't think
Mavs
it
do this a
cures
few
it,
years ago.
but
It helps because the Mavericks saw this a few years ago where like I think they were I forget they owed a pick to the Knicks I want to say and then they like aggressively tanked the last like one like
The
they
Derek
sacrificed
Lively
them.
pick. They needed to get a pick before 10 and or
They got
after
10.
10 and they got Lively. Yep.
Yeah, it's like where it's this formula is broken with this, and like it's a problem for the league when you have these teams charging full freight prices for these games when you're not like you're not playing the best players because it hurts our chances to theoretically get a shot at like AJ DeBanza or Darren Peterson.
yeah, and I don't know if you say like this, and for this many games, if Vegas predicts you're over under and you're this many games off of it because you were tanking so early, like I don't know, maybe there's penalties involved. I don't know. I
You
thought of
also
something.
get teams who are just bad too, right, Tom? Like there's some teams that are not trying to be terrible. They just are.
No,
New
but
Orleans,
again, I think, and those teams deserve like your Nets, who just are in a situation where they're playing their roster. It's just all young guys, and they set this up to be, like you said, ethical tankers. Like, yes, those teams should have the opportunity to have, a top four pick, but some of these other disgusting teams out there that
like
are in the lottery all the time.
Hmm.
this also does. I mean, like the idea of if you're in the lottery is to try and get them out of the lottery and get them the talent that they need, and like it's hard to do that, when you have Cooper Flag in here in the draft last year. He's like a franchise changing guy, and like he goes to Dallas, who has the 11th pick projected going into the draft, and everybody thinks it's a screw job by the league because they gave the Lakers Luca.
Or maybe we just have a draft for only the teams that miss the playoffs. Or only, you're
But
only
then you
allowed
got
to.
to get rid of the play-in because the play-in doesn't help you
Sure.
really. And they
Um,
want that to matter. That's why I think if you
yeah, they want the NBA Cup to matter. I want $1 billion, but
yeah.
sometimes you got to look at reality and take a peek at the numbers every once in a while.
And I think this year's class is definitely a factor because there's so many
Of
players in it
course.
that could be helpful to you. I know that 27 and 28 apparently look bleak according to the scouts for like potential game changing, franchise changing players. But like when you have a product where you're selling 82 games, you have all these national TV partners you're trying to satisfy, like you're gonna run out of teams to actually
And
put on
that
TV.
That's the
That
biggest thing.
well, and that may be, and you alluded to the 82 games there. The NBA is fighting a war on multiple fronts here. They're actually fighting multiple wars, if you think about it, between the games, the schedule being too long and the season being too long, which I think factors into everything else. You have the tanking issues. There's a lot of it. There's a lot of problems. Not to mention the new salary cap and all the new that the G I don't know anything about it, and these professionals that are hired by the teams to be GMs can't figure it out either.
Yeah, there's a lot of issues here. I do think this, we think we all agree the season is too long, but there's no way to fix it because like if you try and cut the season from 82 games to 72 games, as the players say, okay, less back to backs, less 3 and 4 days, like
Well,
less.
you also just signed an 11-year TV package too, so that you're not taking games away from those networks. You just agreed to that, so it sucks. It's really hard, and they've
A TV package is the NBA's crutch to argue that everything's going all right, but it's not. And at some point, they're going to have to realize that.
Yeah, it's only working for NBC because live sports are always going to be do good rating wise as well as with the right teams in the thing. But like, I think you can make the argument like you could still honor the contract, have 72 games, and kind of like lop 10 off the local guys if you want to do that. But then the argument's going to be like, okay, we're doing 10 less games of revenue, like 5 less home games per team. Like we're players, you're not going to take 10 games less worth of salary. That's where we end up staying where we are.
Right. Yeah, no, that listen, they've committed to this 82 game season for a long time. Every CBA involves that 82 game season. Then the playoffs are super long, and now just for shits and giggles, they've added more games with this NBA Cup, right? So, you hear them talk about ways to eliminate tanking is like have a tournament amongst like the bottom 6 teams or 8 teams. I was like, how is that going to help? Those teams are still going to tank those games too, and their extra games. Like they're not going to
Yeah.
play.
The
Like
players on the team don't care about a pick or something.
exactly. So, like, what are you going to hold all these guys out from these extra games too when you're already holding them out for every other game? It's just there needs to be people smarter than us because everybody, when I think the worst thing about this, Mike, is once the NFL's done, you have this tanking issue and you have this All-Star game fiasco and All-Star weekend on center stage. And now it's just everybody's ability to just shit on the NBA because the people who haven't really been paying that much attention to it's very in vogue to just everybody else shitting on the NBA, well, I can do it too, and that's not good for the league. And so they need to really figure this out and put their smartest people in a room and do something about it. Because right now, I thought fining those teams, it's like yeah, they created a new way to tank. But they're still playing within the rules. There's nothing that says they have to play their guys in the fourth quarter. It looked terrible. It was optically heinous, but like they're not doing anything wrong. And they could make the case we're positioning ourselves. Look, we just went out and got a Triple J. We just went out and got Trae Young and AD. We just went out and got Zubac. We're trying to get better. It's just not going to happen this year. And the NBA just has to throw their hands up and be like, yeah, I guess you're right. And the fans, are the casualty here. That's why I said the NBA is in a brutal spot because unless you're like one of the top 6 teams or a bottom 6 to 8 team, your season really doesn't matter. I mean, it sucks. I check the Nets games every night. I want to see if Traore and Demon played well and Porter Jr. before that. And then it's like, and God, I hope we lost in a close game. Like, God, I hope we lose. And you see them playing like the Wizards, and I'm like, the Wizards are sitting 7 guys. They like, how are we supposed to lose this game? Now I'm rooting for my team to lose, which is not the position you want to be in.
All right, let's before we move on to the tanking conversation, let's have some fun. Let's assume for argument's sake we have a lottery of 14 teams. Let's say the bottom 7 teams in each conference are in the lottery here. What is the ultimate conspiracy theory scenario here where we look at it and go, oh, the lottery's broken, the league's fixed.
Hmm.
Let's take a peek here.
Yeah, so clarify the bottom 7 in the East right now are Charlotte, who credit we give them credit. They're actually playing hard right now. They're trying to get better, so give them a shout there.
Yeah, they've been good.
Yeah, Charlotte, Atlanta, Chicago, Milwaukee, Sean's beloved Nets, Indiana, and Washington. That's the East 7. The West 7, Portland with the returning Dame Lillard, who's won the 3-point contest, which is fun for him. The Clippers, the Grizzlies, the Mavs, Utah, New Orleans, whose pick goes to Atlanta, thanks to that stupid Derek Queen trade from last year. and the Sacramento Kings, who are just god awful. So
I've got it. The Clippers get the first pick and they get penalized. That's when the aspiration penalty comes in from the NBA and they have to forfeit their first overall pick.
You beat me to it. You're too quick. I was about to say the same thing. What would happen? Who would it go to? I guess the number two team, which would be the Mavericks.
Yeah, right.
That would just be the icing on the cake.
yeah, and I think I have the ultimate like scenario here that I think would break the league. In case you forgot about the Clipper pick here,
OKC.
OKC has that pick this year because that's one of
Yep.
the last like carrots in the Paul George trade. So
Well, that's another thing too with the wheel, right? It's like we could be living in that reality right now where the Oklahoma City Thunder win the championship and they get the first overall pick because of that trade. So, like, you could be living in that universe right now. I don't know, like Indiana, that would be crazy because they went to game 7 of the finals last year. They just reboot with the number 1 overall pick. Like, yeah, I don't know who else, Tom. Like,
I I
what
I,
other,
I have the scenario.
get me.
The NBA wants Giannis to stay in Milwaukee, so they give the Bucks the number one pick, give an asset to convince him to stay.
Mm, that's a good one.
That's the most. I mean, the we would all just stop watching if the Clippers got the number one overall pick or the Mavericks. So yeah, that's the most like I think that's the one that would get the most traction too.
If the Clipper
Where
pick
you,
goes to the Thunder, and the Thunder end up with Darren Peterson or DeBanza.
I mean, just end the league then.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be nuts.
I mean,
Yeah, I don't know.
McCain's gonna be 5 times as good as he would have been had he stayed with Philly.
I don't know who else. I mean,
Like of these teams, I mean, you could also watch Golden State. I don't know where their picks are going this year.
yeah, I still think they're holding that pick to trade it, unless it's like you can't possibly pass on to Banza or Peterson. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see, right? Right? Like, I think that it's always good for New York and LA to have good players, even if they're the B teams. Obviously, I'm hoping that that happens, but I was thinking about it. I'm like, when was the last time the Nets had like one of the top picks? I'm like, oh, 2016, which went to Jaylen Brown, and 2017, which went to Jason Tatum. So those were 2 and 3 respectively. So I'm like, oh, we could get 2 or 3 this year. It just actually would be ours for the first time. But no, I mean Indiana would be crazy. Obviously, you touched on LA going to OKC. That'd be nuts. I don't know if the NBA cares about Milwaukee. I don't think that they care whether he leaves. I think it would actually be in their best interest for him to go to a high market team. Like they already won a championship. So I don't know. Do you feel any way about that, Tom?
Well, like I could see that also being like sort of like how the Cavs won the lottery like 3 times or in like 6 years after LeBron left.
Yeah.
Could be something like, okay, we're going to reset Milwaukee a little bit. If Giannis goes, they have a superstar to
Well,
build.
that's a good point too. Right? Like if Giannis is like, I'm out, and they could be like, all right, you got the first pick, baby. Congrats.
Yeah,
That could be as well. Do Giannis the favor, send him to a contender, and we'll throw you guys the number one pick.
that's the Cooper Flag thing again.
I
Hmm.
mean, it can't get any more wild than last year. The combo of the trade and then them getting the number one overall pick. I
That
mean,
was the biggest bunch of crap. And then, of course, Nico Harrison being like, we saw the vision. I'm like, fuck out of here. You had the 11th spot. You moved up. You saw the vision. And that vision saw him have 1 month and then he got fired.
then they ran AD out of the building because they couldn't even look at him anymore.
What a great trade. But you know what, Dallas? You got Cooper Flag.
And they're building around Cooper Flag now.
As they should. They
Yeah,
got one of the best they got one of the best first round picks in recent memory. Congrats. It
yeah,
only took trading your franchise player for nothing to do it.
yeah. I'll just think it's funny that if the Clippers get the Indiana pick at 5 and they send number one to OKC, like,
Yeah.
that would be like the ultimate like NBA is like they would get the conspiracy theorists fired up.
Oh, I think they're ready to go
I
after
think
last
that
year.
would really put the Sean's pick protection idea into play.
Yep. It makes the most sense, I think, to because I don't think they can go like super drastic immediately. So I think if you take away pick provision, it's also going to help with trades too. It's like I don't care about this trade. I'm not going to do this trade if I know I'm giving away a first round pick that could be number 3 overall.
Uh, Tom, before we move on, would you be happy the Knicks end up with the number 9 pick this year?
Would I be happy? Yeah, I mean, I guess. Why? What's the other option again?
It turns into 2 seconds.
Oh yeah, I'd rather the 9 pick.
Yeah. Because I think it's yeah. Because I don't think it'll happen because watching it is I think right now the third worst record in the league. I think that they like finish like fifth to even give you a possibility of that. But like
If you
I mean,
think it's
this
gross what they're
parent.
doing right now, just wait for these last 7 weeks, 8 weeks.
Yeah, I know. We're in freaking February still. This
There
is
is
stuff that
no
they
way
do in
they're letting
game
the Knicks get that
77,
pick.
78. Yeah, there's no way, but it would be awesome. I mean, it's supposed to be a deep draft. Everybody's saying like it's the first four and then everything else is going to be solid. So, I mean, I would love a cheap rotation player.
yeah. All right, let's wrap up here. Like, we'll sort of go here. Like, we know that OKC is presumed favorite here. Like, we know San Antonio's beaten them 4 times already this year, including the NBA Cup playoff, like playing game here. So, in terms of like, we'll still put them as the favorite, considering like the fast start they got off to here. Like, who are the top challengers to the crown there?
Shawnee?
Denver, fully healthy Denver for sure. First of all, they stabilized their season when Jokic and basically everybody else was out. Obviously, you've got Gordon still hurt, and then Cam Johnson is still hurt. But when they're fully loaded and they now have depth that they can trust because they had to rely on them, I still think, I mean, honestly, I don't think the Thunder are that far ahead of the Nuggets when the Nuggets are fully healthy. The Wolves are in that conversation as well. They've been to 2 straight Western Conference finals and nobody talks about it, but they're high level talent. I mean, they could absolutely get there again. So I think for OKC's biggest challengers, it would be Denver, like right there, and Minnesota again, too.
Yeah, obviously San Antonio too.
San
Yeah.
Antonio, for me, though, is like they can go toe to toe with them, and they've proven that, which is great. But I still think
Over a
they're a
7 game
year.
series though.
Yeah, and they're still a year or two, a little bit early. Like they would have to go through a really tough first and second round to probably get them, and I don't know if they're there yet.
I think the thing with them I watch is obviously I think like they have the X factor with Wemby, where like if Wemby could just take over a series, that could also shift everything.
Well,
Oh,
yeah,
sure.
that and they also have another guy that's kind of a proven NBA player already. He's not young and De'Aaron Fox. And if he can start taking over games as well, we might be talking about something a little differently there. But I mean, yeah, we said it earlier. It's crazy. We didn't even mention an Eastern Conference team yet. I think we would probably have to throw Detroit in there as the 5 seed, 4 seed to beat OKC, and then that's I don't see any other team coming close.
Yeah, it feels like the East team is like it's just like you get there and hope that whoever like shows up is like very wounded from like their Western Conference battles. Like
Exactly.
Yeah.
that's your strategy you're hoping for. You get there and like somebody's like missing like somebody blew a tire on the way to the final.
Would you guys be disappointed if just where we are at this point in the season? Would you guys be disappointed if the Knicks weren't in the NBA Finals, or have you already kind of resigned yourself to the fact they may not be?
I'd be surprised if they were.
I think what we saw in January, like especially like after that lull after the NBA Cup, like exposed a lot of things, like missing Josh Hart for 3 weeks and not like taking the team apart like it did.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, but same page there. I think Detroit's gonna.
Like, can they?
Thursday night's a big game because the Pistons have kicked your ass in the regular season this year so far.
I think the Knicks could lose to. I think the Knicks in the right series could lose to Philly. I think the Knicks in the right series, especially with Tatum come back, could absolutely lose to Boston. And obviously Detroit as well. Disappointing team is Orlando this year.
Oh,
Yeah,
wait,
Orlando even
what?
not. They're not. Orlando still has a chance at top six though. They're only like a game and a half behind Philly.
No, they
It,
do, but I just don't. Paolo. I don't know if he's taken a step back or he just hasn't taken a step forward. But and Mo Wagner is just such an up and down player, and Bane hasn't really been what they wanted him to. And they also can't stay healthy all at the same time. So I'm just very disappointed.
This is the
Cleveland could go up though with Harden
Cleveland,
now.
Cleveland. Yep.
yeah. The thing with Orlando though, like they feel like you mentioned like all their wings and forwards here, like they don't have guard play to like that you need to like win in the play.
Anthony Black's been awesome this year.
Black and Suggs, yeah, but Suggs, I think
But they're
Suggs is going to
they're
be a
still a
trade
cut
piece.
below some of the teams you're talking about already.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
Whether it's Brunson, whether it's Mitchell and Garland, whether it's Cade, like they're definitely a cut below that group.
for sure.
All
Hey,
right,
the East does have some great guards.
they do. And if you're a Knick fan, I think you're just hoping that Toronto or Orlando is in your first round draw. I think they will smoke either of those teams in the first round.
Yeah, you're hoping that it's like either a sweep or a gentleman's sweep in that situation. Just try and get healthy for round two.
Yeah, because like I think if you're a Knick fan, I think your hope is that you're not obviously the one's like gone because Detroit's tiebreaker is up 6 games. So I think you're hoping you get the two
Totally.
outlast Boston and then draw like Orlando or somebody out of play in the first round, then deal with Boston in the second round.
Of course, 1,000%. You don't want them in the first round. You don't want to have to go
You
all
don't
the
want
games in the first round.
you don't want to be in that 4 or 5 of Cleveland. You have no desire for that.
No, I mean, listen, the Knicks have pretty much owned Cleveland in the playoffs the last couple of years, but
James Harden's there
James
now.
Harden,
Yeah.
playoff Harden.
Yeah. Game 7, baby. No, I think you touched on it before, Mike, just to put a bow on it, is like you said, how are the Knicks playing heading into the playoffs? I don't think that matters. I think it matters who your matchup is, what's your road there. That's more important because the Knicks have proven that they can, they win 10 out of 12 heading into the break. Like they're a damn good team. But there are certain matchups where they're exposed, and also too is again when your two best offensive players are terrible defensively, that's a tough recipe to win with sometimes, particularly as you get later on.
Yeah, it's your Knicks fan. It's just frustrating because like you're probably like I'd say the fifth best team in the league, but like like Detroit has owned you, and the three teams in the West are like light years better than you.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of why I said I'd be surprised if they make it to the finals this year. Some building to do. It's a very fluid league. That's what I'm saying to myself.
Here's a flu league. I think you guys are coming on here, popping on. You guys want to let us know how to follow you on social media. Give us some of the stuff you're doing in your pod.
Follow us on Twitter at Sorry Sports, TikTok Sorry_Sports, Shoney Boy.
You got it, buddy. Same with Instagram. And then, yeah, make sure you download, subscribe, rate and
All
review
that
the
shit.
pod, all that good stuff. We're doing a lot of content, but Mike, it's always a pleasure to be on your pod. We appreciate it.
Yeah, I also have a little bit of like inside baseball pod note for you guys here. I was curious here because I spoke to your one of your other co-hosts, Will, like a few weeks back. He's like, yeah, like we haven't done the Will and Ryan podcast like on Sorry Sports. Is that happening?
Mhm.
Um, Ryan, I'll have to ask. I mean, they could record whether or not it made it out anywhere would be another thing. I mean, those
Yeah.
two clowns.
It's got to go through the CEO here.
Yeah.
Tom. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what kind of content that would be, but
Like, I don't know what the sport.
um,
I don't know what the sport would be for that either. I don't know what they would be discussing.
Gambling on
put them
anything.
in a room together. To be honest with you, your guess is as good as mine and what the topic turns into there. Those some brains that I do not want to be on the inside of.